Wondering how to get on top of those finances? Well, watch on. As a business accountant, my team and I spend all day long helping business owners on their journey. And as you can imagine, people come to us quite often and say, look, I want to understand my finances better. I want to be on top of my finances. And that's quite a large topic. So in this video, I just wanted to give you 4 practical things you can do literally tomorrow, today, if you want to, if you've still got time left in your day, to go away and begin that journey in understanding and getting a better handle on your finances. So yes, this is not going to be a complete guide to how to manage your finances. That would take hours, but it is the first building block just to come and think, okay, how do I gain an awareness? How do I get going? Do these 4 things. Now, I can do loads of videos on this, and maybe we will. I'm sure we will expand. I've already got an idea of a kind of a monthly checklist you could do to look at some key things in your business. And this is a never-ending list, but it can be quite a large topic to deal with and take on. It could be quite overwhelming if you're not particularly a numbers person, which a lot of people say they're not. So just 4 things to do daily. Now, before I get into it, if you like these type of videos, make sure to click the subscribe button and the bell below to get notified whenever we release more videos just like this one. So then, practical thing to do number 1, and that's do your bookkeeping. Now, bookkeeping, record checks, whatever you want to call it, basically it's you putting together your records. Now, hopefully you're in some sort of software, so like a QuickBooks or a Xero or some sort of app. You could still be in a spreadsheet, but it's just spending 15 to 30 minutes a day just doing these things. Now, if you outsource your bookkeeping to an accountant or a bookkeeper or a VA or whoever else, then use that 15 minutes to just get in, look at what they've asked you, send them the information. One of the biggest frustrations, and as a business that does this, one of the biggest frustrations is getting people to send you stuff. So you will have far more chance of sort of real time or semi-real time, certainly more current data, if you can get those documents with your bookkeeper or whoever's doing that bookkeeping for you. So there's that element. But if you're doing it yourself, then just going through and just either putting it into that spreadsheet or reconciling your bank on Xero, putting your stuff through and just categorizing it, gives you a general awareness of what's going on in your business, and you'd be surprised the amount of things that pop into your head when you do this process. Obviously, as a numbers guy, I love bookkeeping. So to me, it's a real therapeutic thing to do, is sit there, go through it, and you start thinking in your head, oh yeah, I forgot we spent that on this, or I forgot we did that. And it just gives you an awareness, just a feel for it. And if you ever heard me talk on the subject of business finances, awareness is going to be the number 1 kind of key word to bear in mind. So do that, and that's going to let you have access to figures, and then you can do what you want with those. And again, we can expand on that. So 10, 15, 30 minutes max, I would say, do bookkeeping regular and often. There's nothing worse than thinking I've got to go do it at the end of a month and there's loads of it at the end of the year if you're really going to leave it that long. So regular and often in the morning. And if you did need any tips on how to speed that up, just go on the channel, type bookkeeping, and you'll see there's lots of videos we've done on making it quicker or using technology, and you can dig into those. So number 2, make sure to take an inventory of your cash. Really, it's having a look, just on your phone if you want, have a look. What have I got in my bank? And that sounds really obvious, but a lot of owners just don't look at it from one week to the next. And you might be surprised at how low it's getting, and just start, again, awareness, but just start to think about, is this going to be enough? If you've got wages or salary or rent due, can I pay the things I know about? And I'm sure you will have forgotten about things that you've got to pay anyway, but it just, the things that spring immediately to mind, have I got enough cash? Do I need to take action today to make sure that I've got enough money to pay myself? If you're a micro business, you, or maybe it's you and one other person, have I got enough money to make that pay run to make sure I get paid? Do people owe me money? And we'll talk about that in a minute. It starts to prompt your action. It's like a little inventory take. And you can either get really kind of actively depressed about it and think, do you know what, I need to go do something today to change this situation. Or you can think, do you know what, I'm doing all right, I'm cool. If you're debating maybe you want to have some time off or something, you might look at those things and just have an awareness about where you are with your cash. The other thing it can do as well, as you do this naturally, is it prompts you, again, like it was with the bookkeeping when you're keying on kind of your cost element. Sometimes you'll see when you're looking through your bank, you're like, oh, so-and-so paid me. And then you'd be thinking, oh yeah, I've got to do something about that. Or wouldn't it be great to reach out to them today and give them some value? Whatever the case may be, or just an awareness, again, that some invoice you've been chasing for ages has been paid. But that does start to generate things in your brain, and there'll be other tasks just by going and doing that kind of little glance at your bank and scrolling through. So when you've done your record keeping and your bookkeeping, and when you've checked your bank, you're then going to go and have a look at how much have I turned over? What's my sales figure? It's one of the most obvious numbers, but it'd be amazing the amount of owners you speak to. You say, what did you turn over last year? What's your turnover this month, this week? A lot of people just don't know. They're just working in it day to day, taking that cash, not necessarily cash as in physical folding, but as in money into your bank or digitally into your PayPal account or whatever. But they're just on that grind, and they've never really stopped and looked. And it's very important, to know whether it's increasing. I think you can start to, as you start to get more data in either your spreadsheet or in a Xero or QuickBooks or one of these accounting apps, you can start to look at it on a month by month. Is there any trends? Is it something that actually every August, I use August because for a lot of businesses, August and December kind of feels the same. Is it going to be like this barren wasteland because nobody's doing any business? What does that look like? Is it something I need to be aware of? Is this month, this year better than last year? Am I trending in the right direction? If I'm not, do I need to take any action to correct this? Is it going, if I have any goals, am I getting towards those goals? So all those type of things just brings you an awareness to where you are with your figures, and I think it feels great. It should be the number one thing you should be able to answer to anyone asking is, what is my turnover? How much do I turn over? What's it going to be maybe this year? And just keeping an eye on that's going to really help get that awareness. Now, the other thing is if you give customers time to pay, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, but if you invoice customers and clients, what's important is it's kind of what they call like a leading indicator. So you're looking at that figure and you know that if that figure's looking bad, you're going to run out of money soon. Because potentially because you've invoiced not enough, and then when they eventually pay you, it's not going to be enough. You might be surviving in this month right now based on money that you're being paid that you invoiced in the previous month. If you see what I mean, there's a delay, there's a lag. So you'd have invoiced over here, got paid in the month we're in now, but unless you keep invoicing now and you're tracking that figure, in this month you could be in a problem. So keeping an eye on that gives you a bit of a feeling of, again, are you heading in the right direction or are you creating a problem for yourself? And then finally on this, the other thing, if you're not VAT registered, so you're in that really early stage, you must track this because the VAT registration threshold, and again there's a load of videos on this, is £85,000 in any 12-month rolling period here in the UK for the majority of businesses. And the reason that's important is you don't want to get caught out late, because when you go over that threshold, they give you 30 days and then you've got to be registered. So if you don't keep up with this regularly, and look, for all you know, and it happens so regularly, you've actually got a late registration problem. You should have been registered way back when. You're now going to have to pay a lot of VAT, potentially fines, and you don't want to get into that kind of mess. So do track it and take proactive action as you're getting towards this 85,000. Think, what do I need to do? Because I'm going to be VAT registered shortly because my business is doing well. And it's always a watershed moment. I think it's amazing when you get to that 85,000. Congrats, you've kind of won the next prize. You've got the challenge of dealing with VAT. But when you're in there, if you've got any aspirations of in a big business, it's something you're going to have to deal with. So, but do track that early on so that you know whether you're in and around that threshold. Then 4, if you issue invoices and your customers pay later, this is mainly for you, but there is a little tip in here even if you don't. So, but the main one is putting some time aside every day just to get a glance at who owes you what money. Now, if you can't do that, that's an instant action point to think about. Do you know what? Going back to point 1, how am I keeping my records? Is it in a program that I can click and find that information out? Even if you can't find it out daily, if you can just find it out weekly or even bi-monthly if you haven't got anything, that would be cool. When I want to say bi-monthly, I mean every 2 weeks really, like, halfway through the month. It'd be quite good to see that. So have a check. But in an ideal world, you'd see it daily and think, okay, do I need to take any action today? Do I need to remind any about these invoices that are overdue? Have I scheduled a date in my diary to view all of these? Is my software up to date? If it's telling me that actually I owe someone else money because it's like a negative number in the report, is that right? Do I need to go fix something? Has that customer actually overpaid, which happens quite frequently in the small business world? Do I have a system to remind customers and clients to pay me regularly? Is it easy to pay me? Is that the friction point? Am I having conversations with customers who are telling me, look, it's really difficult, your bank details aren't on the form, how do I pay you? I don't know when I'm meant to pay you, you haven't put a due date on there. All these kind of things, but going through and just attending to that amount of money, because that's the biggest one. You can make all the profit you want on paper, but if they don't pay you, you don't have cash, does it actually mean anything, right? You want it in your bank. So make sure you're on top of that. And small business late payments is one of the biggest issues in the small business world. So you really do need to be on top of this, particularly if the world is going through financial troubles, which, let's face it, in the UK over the past 3 odd years, it's been a constant problem and an up and down in terms of financial turmoil. So make sure you're on top of those payments. And as I said, even if you don't invoice, think about how frictionless you can make it for people to pay you. Is it easy? Is it easy for someone to pay you? Is it easy for you to collect the money? Is it easy for you to actually record keep that money when you get it? Is there any integration? So you can still look at the payment side of it and think, actually, yes, there's something I can do about it. Or just check in to have a look. Okay, someone's paid me. What fees did I pay from that electronic platform? And just again, awareness, see what's going on. Now, using those 4 things is really going to help start building that awareness. And remember, I think there's a recent study came out, I say recent, I think it was about 2021, but it was 59 days on average now they reckon it takes to build a habit. So if you get into this, it's in your diary, it's something you do every day. I do think you tend to get to enjoy it eventually. So there is that, but it will you'll start that awareness. And as I say, we'll build on this in future videos, but just start with those easy 4 things. Let me know how you get on in the comments below.